Hello there, very good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News on TV1 for the News First, the voice of the people. I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this afternoon.
Former Defence Secretary Hemasri Fernando and former IGP Pujit Jayasundara acquitted from all charges in the April 21st attacks case. Power supply will be interrupted if fuel is not supplied. Minister left speechless. Train ticket bookings online from today.
On to your top story this afternoon, the Colombo Permanent High Court trial at bar unanimously ordered to acquit and release ex-Defence Secretary Hemasri Fernando and former IGP Pujit Jayasundara from all charges filed against them with regard to the case filed over April 21st attacks. The Colombo Permanent High Court trial at bar met to announce a decision on whether ex-police chief Pujit Jayasundara and ex-defence secretary Hemasri Fernando will be released from the Easter attack cases without calling for evidence from the defence. The Attorney General filed the cases against Fernando and Jayasundara on charges of criminal dereliction of duty for failing to take action to prevent the Easter attack despite receiving specific intelligence. The cases were called up in the presence of Justices Namal Balalle, Aditya Patabandige and Mohammad Irshadin. A total of 855 charges of criminal negligence were levelled against Pujit Jayasundara and Hemasri Fernando individually. Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Ajit Nivard Cabral, had a discussion on Bloomberg TV this morning.
The governor of the central bank said there is no need to go to the IMF to boost investor confidence because investor confidence is already there in Sri Lanka.
I'm looking at the investor confidence that you did mention, which is a very important factor. All our bond auctions have been fully subscribed and the interest rates are moderating. Our stock market is doing one of the best performing markets if you look at the whole year round this time. When you look at Sri Lanka's GDP growth, it's growing at 5% this year. We're seeing tourism coming back. We're seeing the general conditions of the banking sector also in good shape. So I think investor confidence is there. So we don't really need to add too much to the investor confidence, because if you are saying that we need to go to the IMF to boost investor confidence, what more could it do?
The Ceylon Electricity Board says several power plants at the Kalnithis combined cycle power plant have been shut down due to a shortage of diesel and naphtha. Its spokesman, Additional General Manager Andrew Navamani, said Mathugama, Kolonnawa and Tulhiriya power stations are among the plants that have been shut down. The national power demand was increased to 2,639 megawatt yesterday, an increase of 318 megawatt compared to yesterday. 74.11% of the requirement was fulfilled through thermal power plants, while 23.13% of the requirement was fulfilled through hydroelectric. 2.76% was obtained from renewable energy. Kalnithis, a combined cycle power plant, and several power plants were shut down due to fuel shortage. Against such a backdrop, as a result, 163 megawatt of power was lost to the national grid. Mathugama, Kolonnawa and Tulhiriya power stations are among the plants that have been shut down, resulting in loss of 200 megawatts to national grid. The Ceylon Electricity Board Additional General Manager added, if these power plants do not get the required fuel stocks today, it would be challenging to provide an uninterrupted supply of power.
Meanwhile, long queues were observed in many parts of the island today as well. This is how people queued up to purchase fuel. The Sipetco fuel station in Baddegama was opened at 8 this morning, and our correspondent noted long queues were observed here. Meanwhile, fuel shortage was reported at the fuel station at the Devata interchange of the Southern Expressway. Fuel stocks were delivered to certain fuel stations in Galle. Only 500 rupees worth of kerosene was sold to each person at this fuel station located in Gona Pinuala in Galle. Shortage of diesel was reported at the Sipetco fuel station located in Min area for the last 2 days. The workers attached to the fuel station noted super diesel and petrol stocks were available. Long queues were seen at the cooperative fuel station and the Sipetco fuel station in Hingurakoda this morning. Our correspondent noted the shortage of diesel was reported at 4 main fuel stations in the Matara town. The amount of kerosene oil permitted for each person to purchase was limited to 500 rupees worth of kerosene oil.
Meanwhile, chairman of the Fuel Distributors Association, Shelton Fernando, said the distributors are facing many issues as sufficient stocks of fuel are not being released. Shelton Fernando noted that as a result of this, even after fuel stations run out of fuel, it takes several days for fuel to be restocked.
Meanwhile, Minister of Energy Udaya Gammanpila, convening a media briefing in Colombo today, said he would request the government to remove the tax on fuel or increase the price of fuel.
According to the calculations of the Petroleum Corporation, 92-octane petrol is sold at a loss of 19 rupees, 95-octane petrol at a loss of 17, 52 rupees from a litre of diesel, 35 rupees from a litre of super diesel, and 63 rupees per litre of kerosene oil. Therefore, the daily loss incurred by the corporation is 551 million rupees. This corporation had already recorded loss of 83,000 million rupees for the previous year. The corporation cannot continue to sell fuel like this. For example, if you are purchasing some goods at 200 rupees and selling them off at 150 rupees, the remaining 50 rupees will have to be given as a subsidy from the government, or the corporation will have to sell it for more than 200 rupees. If none of these two things takes place, no one can stop the fuel shortage in the country. The governor of the central bank informed me in writing that if we do not have the required rupees to purchase dollars, he cannot provide dollars for the purchase of fuel. Based on this issue, there is a real risk of a fuel shortage in the country, not due to a lack of dollars, but due to a shortage of rupees. In the meantime, according to the calculations of the corporation, a litre of 92-octane petrol has been taxed at a rate of 42 rupees, 64 rupees for a litre of 95-octane petrol, 17 rupees for a litre of diesel, and 35 rupees on super diesel. For a day, Treasury earns a sum of 368 million rupees. Therefore, I made a written request from the Finance Minister to remove the taxes imposed on fuel.
දිනකට රුපියල් මිලියන 368ක් මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ උපයා ගනු ලබනවා. ඒ නිසා අද දින මම ඉන්ධන මත පනවා ඇති බදු ඉවත් කර දෙන මෙන් මුදල් අමාත්‍යතුමාගෙන් ලිඛිත ඉල්ලීමක් සිදු කළා.
The Ceylon Petroleum Corporation is the main supplier of fuel to the Ceylon Electricity Board. The Petroleum Corporation has already given a majority of their oil tanks and sheds to the Indian Oil Corporation. The day that the Petroleum Corporation loses the CEB, the corporation will be no more. On the other hand, how can the CEB that cannot settle dues of about 95 billion to the Petroleum Corporation pay up front to the Indian Oil Corporation and purchase fuel? The IOC will provide fuel on credit for a certain period of time, but the IOC will not act the same way as the Petroleum Corporation. They will impose a condition saying that they cannot give fuel after a certain point. Then they will demand for the thermal power plants of the CEB to be handed over instead. We know that India wants to take over both the supply of electricity and fuel in the power industry of Sri Lanka. That is what India is trying to achieve through this crisis.
Meanwhile, a public petition against the sale of the Trincomalee oil tanks was handed over to the governor of the Eastern Province, Anuradha Yahampath. The petition was handed over by the Civil Organizations Collective of Trincomalee.
The Trincomalee oil tanks is a national asset. We need to protect this for our future generations. On the other hand, they are trying to give away these oil tanks to a country like India in the region. This will be dangerous to our country on a number of fronts in the future. The President must understand this. He must then take necessary measures to prevent this from taking place.
The All Ceylon Farmers Federation visited the Kantale sugar factory to inquire into reports of a possible attempt to sell the factory to an Indian company. Sugarcane was cultivated on 11,500 acres of land under this project that was launched by late Prime Minister Sirimavo Bandaranaike back in 1960. The factory, which catered to the local demand, was handed over to the private sector in 1993. Since then, the Kantale sugar factory has been all but abandoned.
These
rulers have not even preserved or developed what our leaders in the past built for this country. This factory has been closed since 1994. They sold a portion of the iron that was used to build this factory. Now the government has made all necessary arrangements to hand over this factory as well as the surrounding lands to an Indian company. These are national assets of Sri Lanka. According to this cabinet paper, they are not going to cultivate sugarcane in these lands. Why aren't they cultivating sugarcane? Because if they cultivate sugarcane, then they must manufacture sugar. What are they trying to do here? They are going to import unpurified sugar. They are going to purify it here and re-export them. The rulers of the past didn't want to just purify sugar here. The entire foundation has been built here to cultivate sugarcane and produce sugar. Why are they handing this over to India?
එවනම් මෙතන සීනි හදනවා වෙනුවට වෙන මොන මගුලටද මේක දෙන්නේ?
Up next is Crime Watch.
Crime Watch.
A police constable was killed in Vitharandeniya in Tangol. Police media spokesperson, attorney at law SSP Nihal Talduwa said a group at the construction site next to the residence of the police constable had attacked and killed him last night. The wife of the police constable and another person was also attacked by the group. The 34-year-old police constable was attached to the Kasagala Interchange police station at the Southern Expressway. Another individual who sustained severe injuries is currently receiving treatment at the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital. Further investigations into the incident are underway.
Crime Watch.
In more local news, Sri Lanka police arrested a 43-year-old man linked to notorious slain underworld Don Markandure Madush from Mullairiyawa.
Police said 4 grams and 68 milligrams of heroin were seized from the possession of the suspect. According to Sri Lanka police, the suspect is facing charges of rape, intimidation with weapons, extortion, weapons possession, heroin charges and arson. Police said that a detention order will be obtained to detain and interrogate the suspect.
The Railway Department says that a program to issue train tickets online will be launched today. General Manager of the Department of Railways, Dhammika Jayasundara, says that a mobile application has been prepared for this purpose. Accordingly, commuters will be able to purchase their train tickets online using their credit or debit cards. The application supports both Android and Apple systems, and the commuters can purchase tickets at their fingertips. General Manager of the Department of Railways, Dhammika Jayasundara, further noted the objective of the Department of Railways to enable all commuters to purchase tickets online in the future. Moving along, Deputy Director General of Health Services, Dr. Hemantha Herath, says that even the Omicron variant can cause various complications. He made these remarks during the media briefing held today.
විශේෂයෙන් උණ රෝගයෙන් තිබෙනවා නම් ඒක කොවිඩ් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
If you're suffering with fever, it could be COVID or could be dengue. If you had come down from overseas, it could be malaria. If not, it could be a viral fever. But we need to know for certain what it is for your safety as well as the safety of those around you. Therefore, anyone having these symptoms should seek medical advice. Do not stay at home and self-medicate. People with underlying conditions and senior citizens could show symptoms such as fever if they have contracted the Omicron variant of COVID-19.
නිදන්ගත රෝග වලින් පෙළෙන අයට සහ වයසින් ඉක්මවා ගිය වයස්ගත පුද්ගලයින්ට ඔමික්‍රෝන් රෝගය උනත් සංකූලතා ඇති කරන්න පුළුවන්.
The National Dengue Eradication Unit says the spread of dengue in 25 medical officers' divisions are at high level. Community doctor Indika Veerasinghe stated 9,539 dengue patients have been identified during this year. He noted it is a significant increase compared to last year. Dr. Indika Veerasinghe further noted the spread was high in Western Province and in the Jaffna district. The imprisoned former parliamentarian Ranjan Ramanayake arrived at the Presidential Commission appointed to inquire into political victimization today.
Ranjan Ramanayake was brought to the Commission office located at the premises of the BMICH in Colombo.
The Minister of Labour commented on the proposal to impose a 25% surcharge on the taxable profits of the Employees Provident Fund and Employees Trust Funds.
The surcharge bill attempts to charge a huge amount of tax from the EPF. I am the one who started opposing this as a Minister of Labour. Even though I'm with the government, I cannot agree with this. However, my opinion and the opinion of the workers of the country won in the end. I am happy about that. I was able to voice the opinions of the workers in this country and get a positive result. The minister made this statement while addressing a meeting of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in Kappetipola, Velimada. The general public made a request to the minister.
These rulers do not listen to us. Even if we protest, they say we are members of the JVP or the UNP. Shall we come forward and say we oppose this? Because if you continue to have this opinion, it will be the same for the next 3 years as well.
If our minister tries to do it, he will lose his ministerial portfolio on the very next day. That's the reality. Certain agreements were signed with the SLPP. However, after the elections, they did not return the favor for what we did for them. They don't accept what we say either. Some of them have some harsh policies. All the people who came into politics promised many things. However, they have not been able to fulfill any of them. The people have understood the reality.
Shifting your attention to international news, a judge has ruled former US President Donald Trump and 2 of his children must answer questions under oath in a New York investigation into their business practices.
Trump must sit for sworn testimony within 21 days. He denies the accusations and is expected to appeal the decision. He could also invoke his right to remain silent in any deposition. The Trump organization said in a statement to the BBC, quote-unquote, "The entire system is corrupt." Yesterday, New York Supreme Court Judge Arthur Engoron said that Donald Trump, his son Donald Trump Jr., aged 44, and daughter Ivanka Trump, aged 40, must each comply with legal orders that prosecutors issued in December.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News, Lunchtime News on TV1. For details of the stories and much more, simply log on to our website, www.newsfirst.lk. For the Newsfirst, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyadesan.